Hello! I'm Aunonna Kazi, a Canadian game artist and designer. This year I'm working on a game called Eye of the Storm, with a team of 6 called F5 Digital. Since we're a small team, I'm wearing a couple of hats, but I'm mostly in charge of the game's visuals. Eye of the Storm is a 3D puzzle platformer game where you, a member of Cosmic Critter Control, equipped with your trusty fishing rod, brave massive storms to save elemental critters from themselves on an alien planet. Since storm is a major pillar for the game, my team put a higher priority on making sure that the world feels stormy and dangerous, using things like the game's mechanics, visuals, and sound design. To support this pillar, I brainstormed some specific ways that we could show this in-game, but I ended up focusing on making a lightning visual effect. As someone with a background in mostly 2D art and animation, visual effects and technical art in general sounded a bit intimidating to me, but I was determined to learn something new this year, even if it made me nervous. So I got to work. I started off by asking my teammate, the main technical artist on our team, where I should start. He suggested some documentation and a few videos to look at, so I compiled a list based on that, plus my own research. My approach to learning about VFX was very academic. I gathered my sources, wrote out my learning goals, and set out to watch those tutorials and take notes. I was used to this process for a lot of my work, due to the way that schools in Ontario structure their teaching, so I thought that it would work just fine this time too. Unfortunately for me, learning VFX isn't quite the same as learning high school math. I realized that by using my usual process, I was giving myself less time to work in Engine and actually get started, so to speak. Weeks passed as I worked on this, and I felt like I was at my wit's end. I couldn't have anything I could call final to show my team, and I was getting really frustrated and tired. I decided to take a break and chat with a friend of mine. Coincidentally, she was also learning VFX for her capstone game, and she offered to help me out. With her assistance, I reevaluated my goals for the lightning VFX I wanted to make. I then took the time to note what specific tools I should genuinely put time into learning, or that I need to use, to get that specific effect made. I tried learning how to make the effect with my friend by my side, bouncing ideas and questions back and forth. What ended up happening is that we learned together with a more application-based method instead of the knowledge-based method I'm used to. Adapting to a completely different method of learning is harder than I just made it sound though. In order to actually start learning properly, I had to 1. Acknowledge that my usual method didn't work, and stop. Although I tend to think of myself as quite self-aware, it's easy to fall back on familiar habits when you don't know what else to do. While working on making a lightning effect, I didn't realize quite how stuck I was on my academic approach to research and learning, until I saw that I wasn't getting results in the same way as some of my peers doing similar things were. Recursive thinking, or constantly repeating certain thought processes, is something that takes serious self-reflection and acknowledgement to notice and work on. Once you've done that, you can move on to the next step. 2. Asking for help. Although I logically know that this is something that's more likely to have a net positive, it's not easy to do if you're worried about things like being shy, looking incompetent for asking for help, or failure in general. For game design, it's important to remember that everyone around you will have things they're better at and worse at, and that everyone's always learning. Asking for help sounds easy, but it genuinely takes practice to be more comfortable doing it, especially if you're used to doing things all by yourself, even if it's a struggle. 3. Finally, I had to actually listen to those who gave the advice. Being talked to about subjects I'm learning of in simpler terms is really useful for understanding, but also makes me worry about how some people perceive me. Changing my mindset from one where I feel like my work doesn't count as my own if I get help with it is an important part of becoming a better designer. Getting over these worries can provide more chances to increase your knowledge and skills. This is something I'm trying to keep in mind as I move forward with development on Eye of the Storm with my team. So, after all this work I did on myself, what did I end up with? Here it is, my work in progress lightning effect for our game. While it's not perfect, it's a start, and it's more than I had a few weeks ago. After working on this, I've got some more understanding and experience with working with the systems needed to create effects like this. Moving forward, I'll be continuing to improve my learning style and add more oomph to this effect, so I can get it looking closer to what I want for our game. Hopefully, the next time you see an update on Eye of the Storm, we'll have it looking sparky and dangerous, as is the current goal. Thank you for watching!